Even up to about a decade ago, there was a great enthusiasm and optimism about the benefits of globalisation that saw a lot of manufacturing outsourced to East Asia. I think there was also a great deal of optimism at that time that China, as it developed, would take its position in a rules-based international order. I think that there's a variety of things that happened in that decade that mean that people are no longer so confident of that. And as a result, you have the US in particular looking to onshore manufacturing that a decade ago they may have been happy to have offshore.
How do you see China's role in that, say, a decade from now then?
When we even look at what's happening in those two big economies today, you can see the strength of the American model by comparison to the Chinese model. And, you know, despite some of the more bizarre things that happen politically in the US, there is no question their economy is absolutely going gangbusters, whereas China is still, you know, sort of limping out of the pandemic implications.
The Biden administration has clearly thrown its support behind Lynas with a hefty paycheck to support the construction of a plant in Texas. We don't seem to see that same level of government support here in Australia. Could that be an issue?
I would like to see, and I've said this for many years, more investment in the infrastructure that allows us to be successful in downstream processing. It is not good enough to just say, let's do it now, business get on with it, because there are easier and more efficient, more cost-effective places for us to be able to do it.
Is there a chance then that Australia could lose companies like Lynas to those overseas countries where it is cheaper to work?
I don't think it will lose us, but having said that, you know, if economics were different, maybe more of Lynas's processing would have been built in Australia a decade ago. But frankly, as we've participated in this market where China is so dominant, if we didn't have the you know, low-cost environment in which we operate, well, Mount Weld is low cost because it's so high grade, but also, you know, Malaysia is a low-cost processing facility. That's really underpinned our ability to be successful.
You are building a processing facility here in Kalgoorlie and hope to have that sort of operating this quarter. Is that a test for you to see how the economics stack up and whether you could do more onshore here?
Our choices for what we do as we continue to develop operations here will be based upon the availability of infrastructure and services. I'm very certain that government at different levels would love it if we would do the next stage of processing, which is separation. But it requires electricity and not expensive electricity. Kalgoorlie is perfect for a renewable microgrid funded by government, right? And that would benefit many of us. If we truly want to create a critical minerals hub here in Kalgoorlie, thinking about things like those sorts of services, these are things government can and should do. It is government's job to build infrastructure, not necessarily to take a bet on which company will be successful or not. But frankly, there are many other companies in the critical mineral space who I think would choose to do more processing here if they were very confident about the infrastructure, availability and cost effectiveness.
Amanda Lacaze, great to speak to you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Rachel.